got some weight to it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Voodoo Garden. My name is Ray. I will be your host. I have green pumpkins in the Voodoo Garden. No, I didn't grow them in the Voodoo Garden. That would be quite a hat trick, wouldn't it? No, these were grown outside, but we had an early frost. And you know, the color on these is remarkable. It's almost like a work of art. But we had a frost, an early frost a couple weeks ago, and I had to pick these green. So I'm hoping they will ripen indoors. I have no idea if they will. These are sugar pumpkins, and I grew these from seeds that I harvested from a sugar pumpkin that I grew many years ago at my old address, and these are the last of the seeds, so I'm hoping they survive so that I can carry on the sugar pumpkin line and grow these next year, because I make things like pumpkin cookies, pumpkin everything. I love sugar pumpkins because unlike regular pumpkin, they have a rich, sugary, sweet flavor to them that I really enjoy. So, my Halloween type thing. I know it's like a Halloween thing, but it wasn't meant to be like that. It was just ripening my pumpkins indoors. But, what do you think of the Voodoo Garden room? Isn't it cool? It's just like, kind of moved up against the walls. And I like it better this way because I had this thing right here in the corner, and it looked kind of funky, and I was just lazy. I had to finally get the Voodoo Garden in shape because there are so many things going on, and you'll see this when we go that way. But for right now, I have my little table of houseplants over here. I got something going on back here. Today is going to be a full-scale tour from your left. I had to go like this. From your left all the way to the right. Then I'm going to explain what I'm doing in the Voodoo Garden right now because it's actually quite exciting for me, and I'm hoping it'll be exciting for you. Let's hurry up and get the tour done because I want to give you a really short clip of everything growing in here. And I've said this before, I want to give you a tour, but this time, I mean it. This time, we are going from every single plant. So for those of you that wanted to see this plant or that plant, today is your chance. This is the grand tour of the Voodoo Garden. Let's get started. We have a Robusta coffee plant, nothing remarkable. This thing has been growing in here for quite some time. To the right, we have the vanilla. Yeah, this thing is trailing all the way down, and it goes all the way up to the table. That thing apparently decided that it wanted to grow all of a sudden, and so we're getting a lot of growth. Behind it, we have the pothos. Remember the house plant that I got? Yep, that's the pothos. Not a whole lot of change in that, but that's to be expected when you start a pothos. Sometimes they'll grow really fast, but once you transplant them, they take a break. And that's what this is doing. But I can see new growth starting out on this. So one of these days, it's going to start growing. But when it does start growing, the leaves are going to be remarkable. So this thing is a miracle in waiting. We'll come back to this someday, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This funky looking thing, an old dead stem going on here. This is the orchid. It's the only surviving orchid because I got rid of the other ones. They looked a little bit weird, and I really had too many plants, so I had to divest myself of some plants. And I know people don't really agree with getting rid of plants. They think that you should give them to friends and family and they should survive forever, but I'm not a believer in that. I figure if a plant is fun to grow, I grow it. If it isn't, I get rid of it. That's just how I work. This orchid has provided so many flowers, so much entertainment, so much fun for me. I can never get rid of this. And it's actually growing a second orchid. Actually, I don't know which one is the original one, this one or this one, but it's growing a second plant out of the first plant. Kind of neat. This may not look very remarkable. It looks like a common plant, but you know what it is? Does anybody remember what this is? This is a magnolia tree. Not a dwarf magnolia anything or an indoor magnolia anything. This is an actual, real, full-size magnolia tree that you see outside down south. This is a southern thing. Generally, these don't grow up north. So I have to grow this indoors all the time. But a friend sent me a couple seeds for magnolia trees, and I tried to grow them, and they gave me so much headache that I almost threw them out. I mean, they were living, then dying, then living, then dying. They really didn't know what they wanted to do, and then they stayed with like 1 or 2 leaves for the longest time, and one of them finally got its mind right, got its roots going. It takes them a while, but once it got its roots growing, look at that. That's a beauty. Yes, it's an indoor growing magnolia tree. Things that you can do in the Voodoo Garden that you normally wouldn't expect. Indoor magnolia tree. Now, I have raved about this a few times. This one is the sago palm. Yep, I grew that from some seeds sent to me by a viewer, and it's still doing the same. I don't imagine this is going to be one of those plants where I give you updates every week, because it isn't going to grow like that. It's not one of those plants. It's going to take a while to get going, and it's going to grow slow from what I understand, but it's still alive, healthy, and loving it here in the Voodoo Garden. But it's not growing quite as fast as the little guy behind it. The little guy behind it is almost going to not be little for long. This one is a philodendron. There are many different kinds of philodendrons. Don't know what kind this is, but it's just one of those ones with the little squiggly vines. I got this as a little tiny house plant, and I was showing people how to grow house plants inside. I did one series. Hold on a second, let me move up on this. That's a little bit better. This one, after I transplanted it, just sat there, and now it's putting out new leaves like a madman. I mean, it's putting out another new leaf before this one even unrolls. It's doing it on the other side too. So this one definitely got its root hold. That's how I judge when a plant takes hold on the roots. Once it starts growing like crazy, you know the roots are healthy and they're going down. So this one is going to definitely be a showstopper one of these days. It's going to be huge. Remember, you saw it here first when it was tiny. Behind it we have the peace lily, and the peace lily is actually starting to flower. Yep, they will send out these little white flowers pretty much all the time. There's one over here, there's one over there, and if you take good care of it, oh, there's another one too coming out. They will flower like mad. The only problem is the pollen gets all over the leaves. It looks like crap, but the flowers are beautiful. No smell to them, but they really are a great indoor plant. When you're growing a peace lily, you'll notice underneath it the leaves will turn brown. That is actually normal from what I've experienced with my peace lilies, and I just take my clippers and snip them off. New leaves are constantly coming out of the inside to replace the ones on the outside that die. So it's not a big deal. I've had these before, and this always happens to mine. It may not happen to yours, but definitely does happen to mine. Just snip off the old dead ones, watch the new ones come out. Yes, I'm kind of flying through this because I have limited life on my battery. I forgot to charge it before I filmed today. I feel like such an idiot. But look, this is the pineapple. This is the daughter of the original pineapple. I did a video long time ago, and it's one of the ones that actually gave me my big start in YouTube. How to grow a pineapple indoors. And I took a pineapple top, shoved it in the soil, and it grew. It grew so well that it actually produced a stalk and then a pineapple on top. I ate the pineapple, I took the top off that pineapple and planted it. This is the daughter of that plant. Yep, and I prune all the leaves off the bottom because they will get, anybody that's grown one of these indoors, you'll notice that the leaves have this span like you would not believe. They will actually get 3 to 4 feet long, and then they start laying down laterally. So you're talking about a 6 to almost 8 foot wingspan on these. Not a whole lot of us have room for that, so I trim the lower leaves, and the ones that are standing up, I leave those alone. just looking down at this ugly looking thing. This is my fig tree. Oh, what a mess. It grew and it grew and it put out fruit and it did fine, and then it just started dying. No idea why it started dying, but this is what's left of it. It more than likely will be gone before you see it the next time. But I wanted to show you one last clip. I did have a good run with this. It was fun, but sometimes, you know, things just don't work out. One of the nice things about this is I had 2 of them. These were sent to me by a viewer. This one didn't make it, but oddly enough, the one that did make it is the one that I took outside and I planted it in the garden. And I'm going to overwinter that outside, and it's going to be an outdoor fig tree. So no sad songs. This one didn't make it, but the one that I planted outside is doing just fine. So the figs will continue. This thing is always poking me in the head. I try to like this plant, but I really can't. It grows really crappy, and the leaves look all faded out no matter what I do. I keep trying to change the acidity. I try to change the soil. Nothing seems to make this plant happy. It's just like a bad relationship. But right when I'm about to pick this thing up and throw it across the yard, it puts out a green leaf. Yeah, you're so sick of this plant after looking at all the yellow leaves. You're like, I don't want to see this thing anymore. And then all of a sudden it puts this out and you're like, oh, I can't do that. And then right before I filmed, I came in here and this, let's back you up. In 3D. Yep. it puts out this weird little single stalk. And you think, what is that thing? Well, if you look at the very tip of it, this is a leaf in the making. This is how it produces the leaf stalks. Comes out as this long tube, and then it opens up and it fans out into that. So this thing actually decided to start growing. I guess all I have to do is run around going, I'm getting rid of you, and all of a sudden, boom, they start growing. They get their mind right. I guess my plants listen to me. Behind this thing, let's zoom in on this ugly looking thing back here. It's like parting the jungle, isn't it? Yep. Moving through the voodoo garden. This thing looks kind of ugly, but actually it's coming back. This is a jasmine plant. This thing was monstrous at my old house, but when I moved, it kind of broke down at the base from the roots. So I had to chop it back, and now we have new growth coming out of the top, the top, the top. So even though it looks like crap, that's the old stuff. I'm actually getting new stuff coming out of the night jasmine. This is a night blooming jasmine. And those of you that have ever grown this, you know what I'm talking about. This will put out itty bitty flowers, and they're very, they don't really look like much, but the smell goes through your house at night. And it is amazing. I love the smell of these flowers. I absolutely do love the smell of these flowers. Speaking of flowers, in about a week or so, this should be in full bloom. And let me tell you something, in a week or two, I'd say maybe 2 weeks at the most. It's going really slow. When it does open up, you and I are going to come in here and we'll be the first to see it. I can't wait. I've never, ever grown a bird of paradise and grown it to flowering. This is amazing for me. I don't know what I did right, but apparently I did something. Okay, you little camera hog, trying to get in everybody's way. This is my Zebrina Banana, also known as a blood banana. Yep. And it's not a dwarf. No, I thought this was a dwarf banana tree. I found out different. No, this thing is the baby. It's a pup. A pup is a little banana plant that comes out of the base of an adult banana plant. But the adult got monstrous. I've done an episode, many episodes on this, and I showed the adult at full height. It was so huge I could barely push the pot around. Well, it didn't survive very well on the move, so I cut the parent out, and the baby is taking over beautifully. The leaves are coming out nice, healthy, new leaves out of the middle. This is a great indoor plant. If you have a little room to grow a plant and you don't have a crap load of light, definitely a banana tree is going to be a fun plant for you to grow because they do grow fast. You think I had enough coffee trees? Oh, no, 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 no. I have a second coffee tree. This one is shorter and lusher than the other one. This was grown from a coffee bean. Yep. I grew this from seed. This is not from a little start or anything like that. This is actually grown from a seed. It took about a month to a month and a half for the seed to germinate. And as it grew, I took off the lower branches and I pruned it at the top. And this thing is remarkable. It is healthy. It is happy. Uh-oh, let's swing up here. It is happy. It is healthy. It is growing extremely fast. And all I do is I give it a good soaking, let the soil slightly dry out, and another soaking. Rich, well-drained soil. All of these plants use the same type of soil with the coir potting mix with a little vermiculite. They all use the same type of soil, whether it's succulent, whether it's tropical. They all seem to grow really well in this soil mix, and that surprises me. But you know what? It sure does make these things growing these things easier when you don't have to have 5,000 different types of soil. And this one here started out as the tiniest, little flattest, soggiest little start. It was just this little thing sent to me in an envelope by a viewer. And look at this. This is called agave. Agave, I think they make sugar out of it and they make rum or something like that. This thing I tossed in there and it just looks so sickly for a while, and it grows very similar to a pineapple. Yeah, and it seems to love it in the voodoo garden for some reason. It likes it here, and I'm not going to argue with it. I have two of these. I actually got a few of them, but one of them didn't live. The other one's over on the other table. You're going to see it. And this one here, yep, they're looking beautiful. I have to transplant this one today, by the way, because the pot is just way too small. It's just a stick with a tuft of leaves on top. Anybody know what this is? It's a moringa. Yeah, a moringa. And generally, I think these grow in more desert regions. But I've grown this for so long in the voodoo garden. It grew up, it got really spindly, so I pruned it back to make it thicken up. And let me aim down one more time. Hold on. See, I pruned it right here, and it grew a side stem. But look at how thick this is. Nice thick side stem, and this lower stem didn't thicken up, but it got woodier and stronger. And then we're going to go up a little bit. And it took a few prunings, but finally this thing did what I wanted it to do. I pruned it here, and each time I pruned it, it only sent up one shoot. Now it put one right here, and one right here. Now I finally have what I wanted. 3 growing tips. I'm trying to get this to bush out to be more than just a stem with a few leaves, because it was kind of boring that way. Now I have a bushy moringa. Now you can see that you can actually do this as well. They fight it. Oh, they fight it. But if you keep it up, keep the faith, you can do it too. And these are really beautiful, soft, feathery leaves, and it grows really nice in the Voodoo garden. It really does. No, this isn't a sea palm. This is a date palm. Yep, I was sent some dates by Kim, and I planted them, and one of them survived. Yes, Kim. Yes, we have one date palm. This is doing a little bit better than the sea palm. Don't know how to grow these. Really don't care. All I know is it's working. I'm like that, you know. If it's working, stand back, hold your breath, and just hope for the best. And this thing seems to be liking it in here in the potting mix and in the light. Bright, diffused light, they seem to like it. I'm sure it'll take direct sunlight, but there are no windows in this room, so it's just going to have to deal with it. Little munchkin thing down there. The violet, one of the few violets that I got from a friend. That's the one surviving violet. One of them had a topple from the table. Really sorry about that, but things happen when you start moving. And the other one just shriveled up. But this one went nuts. It flowered, and then it decided to start growing. And I'm going to try and take some clippings from the leaves and try and propagate this to see if I can make even more. It's not really doing anything. It's just a regular violet plant, but someday it's going to flower again. Look up, look over here. This thing hasn't been shown very often at all. This I grew from, I believe, a seed. Yeah, I think it was a seed. This is a miracle berry. Yep, a miracle berry is one of those fruits. Hold on, let me get the camera. There. Okay, a miracle berry is one of those fruits where it's a little tiny berry, and if you eat it, you chew on the berry and roll it around on your tongue, it will do something to your taste buds temporarily for about 20 minutes, and then you can eat a lemon. You know, normally you eat a lemon and you pucker up and you just think you're having a stroke in your left eye. Well, if you eat a miracle berry first, it tricks your taste buds into thinking everything that's sour is sweet. And people have done this on YouTube and all over the place. They will eat a miracle berry and then eat a lemon, and it tastes like lemonade, sweetened lemonade. So I'm just growing this for fun, and it's flowered profusely, but no matter what I do to pollinate these little ugly flowers, they never produce fruit for some reason. Okay, now we're getting to the ugly side of the room. The poor side of town. This is an avocado. I've grown this from an avocado pit for, gosh, a year now. And yeah, look at this. Oh, yeah, it's like an alopecia event going on here. The leaves just keep falling off and falling off. But you know what? I keep thinking I'm going to throw this out next week. I'm going to throw it out next week. But the stem is now starting at the bottom to get woody. And that's actually a good sign. That means that the plant is getting older and stronger. And also at the top, it keeps these live tufts of leaves coming out, and it gives me hope. You know, just when I think everything is, you know, gonna go to heck in a handbag with this plant, it puts out more leaves, which means something's going on down there that is good, so I gotta give it every opportunity. So I'm not gonna toss this thing out, not yet. We're gonna give it another chance and see if it can get growing. Okay, speaking of ugly, remember that lemon tree? Yeah, it was a big, huge lemon tree in the last episode. I butchered that thing back severely, down to nothing but a stem. I didn't like the way it was growing. I mean, you can see all different kinds of directions this thing took, and every time I try and train it one way, it goes the other way. So I decided, you know what? We're going to start over fresh from scratch. I butchered everything off, but look, all the new growth, new buds coming everywhere. It is a phoenix when it comes to being pruned. It really seems to like it. You know, the more I beat this thing up, the better it comes back. This is the dragon fruit, and it's quite unremarkable compared to what it used to look like. It was snaking all over the place, And I decided after the last filming, you know what, I think I'm going to start over and get it to grow a little bit differently, because it was going everywhere and it was fine, but I wanted to give it more strength and more starch from up here instead of one long one coming out and then the starch coming way out there. So I chopped it back. That's what I did. I just took a knife and I sliced over here on the left, on the right, and it really spurs on the new growth. Dragon fruits are very receptive to pruning, so if you ever want to grow a plant that's really easy to manipulate, definitely a dragon fruit. And this butthead, yeah, I said butthead. That's a technical term for a plant that isn't what you thought it was. I'm going to move you up on top so you can get a downward look at this plant. It really is a nice looking plant. It's grown from seed. It's grown strong. I've pruned it back. I've done all kinds of good things to keep this plant nice and healthy, but it turns out it's not what I thought it was. A seller on eBay, and I wish I knew who it was so I could give him a big honking thumbs down, sent me Butthead seeds. Butthead, if you don't know what it is, look it up on the internet. It's a lot easier for you to do that than for me to describe it. It's basically a Frankenstein lemon type of fruit. I was going to grow this for the voodoo garden, and it turns out that they sent me seeds of a kiffer, K-I-F-F-E-R, lime, which is also a really strange and exotic plant, but it's not what I ordered. But I have a kiffer lime, and it seems to be doing really good, so I guess that's okay. I feel like the prop guy. I'm holding this camera up on a stick, and I'm moving it over the plant, so we're kind of hovering over everything. This is a sensitive plant, or mimosa pudica. This was sent to me as seeds from a viewer, and I've been growing it from seeds. It looks like it decided to slow down on growing, and it might just flower soon. I was hoping it would grow a lot more. But then we have this, the polka dot plant. Started out very remarkable as a little plant that I bought, and then it went to flower, and then of course it looks like crap now. But at the very base, I mentioned in the last episode, it had new buds coming out. And upon closer inspection, they are growing true to the parent plant. They start out this weird looking little green here, but then when they get a little bit more mature, like this one here, see? Pink. Little baby polka dot plants growing from the base of the mother plant. They're doing just fine. If anybody knows what this is, please tell me. I'm growing it, I'm enjoying it. It's doing really well, but I just don't know what it is. It grew out of a pot of another plant, so it's one of those seeds that I planted a long time ago. Oh, there went a whitefly. Darn it! I hate whiteflies. They're not really that damaging to my plants, but they're just a pain in the butt. Little tiny white dots flying all over the place. This plant, whatever it is, seems to be a magnet for whiteflies. It's looking kind of sparse over here, isn't it? And that's for a reason. I had to divest myself of a lot of plants because I want to use this area. I'm going to lower the lights and use this area for sprouting of vegetables throughout the winter. And I just noticed something. I got to prune this thing down. This is a Dieffenbachia, or as it's known, a dumb cane. And it's called a dumb cane because if you chew on parts of the plant, it numbs or slightly paralyzes your vocal cords, and it makes it hard to speak. And that's why you want to keep it away from animals and stuff. Don't know if that's true, I've never eaten this, but I believe this one's called a camille because it has the white, milky looking leaves on the inside. This is a house plant that I got. It's a small plant, and it's just now starting to put out leaves. It took its time getting going, but this little tiny thing, don't be fooled. When these things get going, they get really tall. They can get like 6-8 feet tall, and the leaves will get a lot bigger. So this is just a baby here. And this thing right here, another mystery plant. I tried to identify this and I still have no luck. Let me zoom in on this. Maybe you can help me out. It has really nice dark leaves. They're kind of soft. And you know what's really kind of weird about this is the flowers almost look like little tomato flowers or some kind of nightshade. Isn't that weird? I don't know what this thing is, but it's flowering and it's so tiny. This one is the one that it makes me laugh every time I see it. It's called a Buddha belly. Yeah, it's a beautiful plant. Somebody sent me the seeds for this, and I think it is the most original, fascinating plant. And I don't know how well this camera gets in, but look at the right where all the leaves come out, it has this weird tuft of little tendrily looking things in there. I don't know if this is coming through, but isn't that amazing? Up close and personal with a Buddha belly. But the stem is what gets the most attention. It gets that really, really fat, funky looking stem. Seems to like it in here. And the last one was sent to me by Petra, a friend on Facebook. This is nutmeg. Yeah, nutmeg, the spice that you use in cooking. Yep, she sent me a little tiny nutmeg tree, a live plant, and I have it growing here in the Voodoo Garden. That is definitely something that fits in here. I hope it makes it. I don't know if it will. I've never grown one before, and true to form, I didn't even research it. I just threw it in my potting mix, and I'm hoping it'll grow in here. I really do, because nutmeg is a nice, mild smell, and I've never gotten it from a plant before. I've only gotten it dried in powdered form like most folks. This little beauty here is a Gynura. Gynura, also known as purple passion plant. Yep, it's still doing good. It's slowly starting to grow. Once it starts going though, it's going to go crazy. I like it before it starts vining, because once it starts vining, it really puts out a lot of green growth, and I really do appreciate the purple growth. I like that a lot better. And by the way, no, this is not laundry detergent. I took this old laundry detergent bottle because I love the way it just sits on the counter and has a little push button nozzle. That's my fertilizer. Yeah, remember that organic fish, pulverized fish stuff? Yeah, I washed this container out really good, and I put it in there, and I use this little measuring cup, and I just measure out a half a cup of this, and I throw it in a 5-gallon bucket, and that's how I make my fertilizer water to water my plants. And this is the mess that I'm dealing with today. It's a fun mess though. I receive so many things from viewers that is so hard for me to keep up, but I really do my best. And everybody who sent me stuff, I'm not going to go through the whole list of names, but you all know who you are. Recently I've been getting all kinds of stuff, from wildflowers to datura, sunflowers, some really cool stuff like dwarf tamarillo. I've grown tamarillo, but never dwarf tamarillo. This is something fun. This is called a litchi, L-I-T-C-H-I. And John from growingyourgreens.com, he really loves growing this. It is a tomato with a really bad attitude, perfect for a Halloween episode. If you have never seen a litchi tomato, look that plant up. It's kind of like, the best I could describe it is if a tomato and a thistle had a love affair, this would be their love child. So I'm definitely going to grow this. I'm scared to death of it, but I'm going to grow it anyway. We have Casa Banana. That is a fun fruit. It's tropical. It's supposed to taste really good. I'm going to try that in the Voodoo Garden because I know it can't grow outside. And then Mexican sour gherkin. Remember those wild cucumbers I grew outside? I'm not growing. They're growing wild. They have all those little thorns. This is kind of like a thornless version of those. Yeah. Kind of neat. And of course I got all kinds of stuff. I have my Kelsey onion seeds that just came in, some sunflowers. I'm going to be growing next year Polish linguiça again. Remember those? These are one of the most fantastic paste tomatoes that you could ever grow. They're a paste tomato with a flavor that's rich and deep, almost like a regular eating tomato. They are fantastic. I ran out of Prax cherry tomato seeds, and a friend was good enough to send me some Prax cherry seeds. I had sent out Prax cherry seeds. These are a cherry tomato that I've been growing for about 8 years, and I turned it from a hybrid into an heirloom cherry tomato. It's one of the sweetest, most prolific plants you'll ever grow. The fruit is delicious. And I sent out seeds, and what I put out into the community finally came back to me because I lost my seeds, and I don't have them anymore. And he sent me some that he grew in 2013 and 2014, so thank you. Thank you for the seeds. And of course, something that I know you're all looking at right now. This. Yeah. This is sugarcane. Yes, sugarcane. This was sent to me just recently, and I've never grown sugarcane, but you know, how fitting of a plant to grow in the Voodoo Garden. And this is just like a grass type thing, to put it as simply as possible. It's like a bamboo type grass. It grows in sections. And then what happens is there's this little bud right here. You can see this little bud. And then on the opposite side, there's another little bud. All of these sections have that. And what you're supposed to do, from what I understand, is you dig a trench, lay this in there, barely covered up with soil, Keep it moist. And all of these little dots, you can barely see them. All these little dots around here, all around here, those freckles will turn into roots. And they'll go down, and then these little stems will put out new plants, little thin ones of this, and they'll grow up. Yep, and you can have sugarcane growing in your house. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm growing sugarcane. And I almost forgot this one because it was upstairs. So I took a break, ran upstairs, dragged this thing downstairs, and this is my holiday cactus. I call it a holiday cactus because I used to call it a Christmas cactus. Turns out I think it's an Easter cactus, but I really don't know, really don't care. All I know is it's a beauty. This one was at my former home up in Windham, and it was so huge it looked like Tina Turner's hair back in the 80s. And people just loved this thing so much I had to feature it. And I showed how to prune it. And I took the clippers and I cut this thing back, and people cried. The whole world cried because it looked so drastic. I cut it back to about 6-inch stumps and transplanted it, and it looked like heck for the longest time. But look, like I said, don't be afraid to do the pruning, because once you do, you reap the benefits. And this thing is, I believe, getting ready to go through a growth spurt or a flowering spurt for the holidays. So it's really liking it. I just throw it in an east-facing window, and it gets a little bit of morning light. I give it a good soaking, let it dry, give it another soaking. I really don't do anything special for that plant, so I really don't know what I'm doing right. And I just kind of go with the flow. Now with these, they look like little whistles, but with my sugar cane, this excited me. It really did excite me. I excite so easy. But with the sugar cane, I'm just going to throw them all in the same size, all in the same pot. And I'm just going to do a circle like this, and then throw one in the middle, and just kind of bury them down, push them down in there. The guy who drinks all the coffee. And just throw in some soil, rub it around. That's it. And I'm going to give this thing a little bit of a watering and set it to the side. And remember, you saw it here first. Empty pot of dirt. One of these days, I'm sure with as many cane as I have in here, one of them is going to grow. So remember, you saw it here first when it was nothing. I don't know what that is. A root. But that is the tour of the Voodoo Garden. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a long time coming, but with the weather cooling down, I think I'm going to be downstairs a lot more. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions concerning any of these plants or anything going on in the Voodoo Garden, please put it in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer your questions as best as I possibly can. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done here. I got to water the plants and get upstairs because it's getting kind of hot up here. It's already 80 degrees, almost 80 degrees. Yeah, it's kind of hot. All right, thanks for joining me in the Voodoo Garden. I really do appreciate it. This is Ray. I'm out of here. Okay, your new home will be right there. Say hi, everybody.